Scrolling, clicking, bored. Sound familiar? That was me, 3 hours deep into a Reddit rabbit hole. That's when I stumbled upon it. Haunted mansion blueprint, real or fake? Intrigued, you bet. Terrified? Nah. Click, download, zoom. The blueprint was detailed, intricate, and supposedly haunted. Each room was marked with eerie symbols, rumored to amplify paranormal activity. My inner skeptic scoffed, but my inner thrill seeker was already packing a bag. The drive was longer than I expected, the last leg down a dirt road that screamed, "Turn back while you still can." Did I listen? Nope. The mansion loomed, a gothic monstrosity against the twilight sky. Cobwebs draped like macabre decorations, and the only sound was the wind whistling through broken windows. Charming, I muttered, grabbing my backpack and flashlight. This was either going to be a great story or a very short one. The front door creaked open, revealing a grand foyer choked with dust and cobwebs. And dolls. Lots of dolls. They were everywhere, perched on crumbling furniture, peeking from behind tattered curtains, their painted eyes seeming to follow my every move. Okay, that's creepy even for me, I admitted, shining my flashlight on a particularly menacing-looking porcelain doll missing an eye. Armed with my trusty flashlight and a healthy dose of skepticism, I ventured deeper into the mansion. The air grew heavy, thick with the smell of decay and something faintly floral. "Hello?" I called out, my voice echoing through the silent house. A floorboard creaked above me, followed by a soft whisper that sent chills down my spine. I froze, straining to hear over the pounding of my heart. "Just the wind," I muttered, trying to convince myself, but the hair on the back of my neck stood on end. The blueprint led me to a dusty nursery, its walls adorned with faded murals of frolicking animals. A rocking horse stood frozen mid-gallop, and a child's tea set lay scattered on the floor. As I stepped closer, the rocking horse suddenly began to move, its wooden tail swishing back and forth. I yelped, stumbling backward and tripping over a stray doll. "Seriously?" I shouted, scrambling to my feet. "This is getting ridiculous!" I continued my exploration, each room more unsettling than the last. The air was thick with an unspoken tension, and every creak of the floorboard sent shivers down my spine. Shadows danced on the walls, creating eerie shapes that seemed to move with a life of their own. Portraits with eyes that seemed to follow me lined the hallways, their gazes piercing through the dim light. It felt as though they were silently judging me, their painted eyes tracking my every move. And disembodied laughter echoed from the ballroom. The laughter was faint, almost like a whisper, but it sent chills down my spine. It was as if the walls themselves were alive, holding on to the memories of past revelries. I found myself back in the foyer, drawn by an eerie humming sound. The melody was hauntingly beautiful, yet deeply unsettling. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere all at once, wrapping around me like a ghostly embrace. The porcelain doll I'd noticed earlier was now facing me, its one good eye gleaming in the dim light. It was as if the doll had a mind of its own, moving silently and purposefully, its one good eye gleaming in the dim light. The eye seemed almost alive, reflecting the flickering candlelight in a way that made it appear to be watching me intently. "You're messing with me, right?" I asked the doll, my voice trembling slightly. The room felt colder, and I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. I asked the doll, my voice trembling slightly. The humming grew louder, filling the room with its haunting melody. It was as if the house itself was responding to my fear, and the doll's head slowly turned to the side as if beckoning me. The movement was deliberate, almost human-like, and it sent a wave of terror through me. I felt an overwhelming urge to run, but my feet were rooted to the spot. The doll's gaze seemed to hold me captive, drawing me deeper into the mystery of the house. Following the doll's gaze, I felt an eerie chill run down my spine. It was as if the doll was guiding me, urging me to uncover a hidden secret. I noticed a loose floorboard near the grand staircase. The wood creaked under my touch as I pried it open, revealing a small dusty compartment beneath. I discovered a metal box hidden beneath. It was old and tarnished, with intricate designs etched into its surface. Inside, I found a collection of items that seemed to tell a story. Nestled amongst old photographs and yellowed letters was a tape recorder. The photographs depicted scenes from a bygone era, and the letters were filled with heartfelt words. I pressed play on the tape recorder, my curiosity piqued. A raspy voice filled the air, crackling with age. "If you're hearing this," it began, the voice carrying a sense of urgency and mystery. "You've found my little project. This mansion holds many secrets, and you've just uncovered one of them." "I always did love a good prank," the voice continued, a hint of amusement in its tone. "And what better place than this creepy old mansion to leave my mark?" The mansion, with its eerie atmosphere and countless dolls, was the perfect setting for such a scheme. The voice seemed to revel in the thought of the fear it might instill. The blueprint, the dolls, the voice listed, each word dripping with pride. Every detail was meticulously planned. "The sound effects, all me," the voice declared, as if it were a grand revelation. The effort and creativity behind the prank were evident. "Consider it my parting gift to the world," the voice said, a note of finality in its tone. It was clear that this was meant to be a lasting legacy. The recording ended with a cackle that sent shivers down my spine. The laughter echoed in the empty mansion, leaving me with a sense of unease and a myriad of questions. Who was behind this elaborate prank, and what other secrets did this mansion hold? So the haunted mansion wasn't actually haunted. It turns out all the eerie noises, the flickering lights, and the ghostly apparitions were nothing more than the elaborate prank of some bored old dude with too much time on his hands and a penchant for the theatrical. Disappointed? A little? Relieved? Absolutely. But let's be honest, who wouldn't be? This old man with his mischievous grin and twinkling eyes had orchestrated the entire haunting. He had hidden speakers in the walls, rigged the lights to flicker at just the right moments, and even used a projector to create ghostly images. It was a masterclass in deception, and I had fallen for it hook, line, and sinker. As I packed up my gear, I couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions. On one hand, I was embarrassed for being duped so easily. On the other hand, I had to admire the old man's dedication to his craft. As I packed up my gear, I couldn't help but notice the porcelain doll still staring at me. Its glassy eyes seemed to follow my every move, and I swear its lips curled into a sly smile. All right, I mumbled. "You got me good." But as I turned to leave, I couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more to that doll. Maybe it was just my imagination, or maybe the old man's prank had gotten under my skin more than I realized. I left the mansion with a good story, a newfound respect for the power of suggestion, and a nagging suspicion that maybe, just maybe, that doll really was laughing at me. As I walked away, I couldn't help but glance back at the mansion one last time. It stood there, silent and imposing, a testament to the power of a well-executed prank. And as I drove away, I couldn't help but chuckle to myself. After all, every good ghost story needs an epilogue, and this one was no exception. So, the next time you hear a bump in the night or see a shadow out of the corner of your eye, remember this story. Sometimes the scariest things are just tricks of the mind, and sometimes they're the work of a bored old man with a flair for the dramatic. But either way, they make for one heck of a story. And who knows, maybe one day you'll have your own ghost story to tell, complete with an epilogue that leaves your audience wondering what was real and what was just a clever ruse.